What is the market looking like league-wide for Taylor Hall? It seems inevitable that he's going to leave Jersey, given the way that team's going, and he wants to win, and can they guarantee a winner there? I'm not sure they can. So if they want to deal him, who's in on Taylor Hall, or who? And what would the price be?
Well, the price isn't set, and with the rentals, you never know what it's going to be. And what we've noticed in recent years is that when in a vacuum, we always say when there's a high-end rental, the word always filters out. They want a first-round pick. They want an A-plus prospect. They want a young roster player. And if you're going to re-sign the guy, there's got to be a conditional first in there as well. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we've seen that, quasi to that framework where there's almost always a first-round pick involved. The A-plus prospect usually doesn't end up being an A-plus prospect. Yep. We saw when Ottawa was trading Duchesne and all those guys, they were getting guys like Abramoff and they weren't getting the high-end prospect. But in the Stone deal, they got, Brandstrom, who was considered, if not an A-plus prospect, a B-plus or an A-minus prospect. And even though he's in the minors right now, he's still perceived to be a guy that's going to play a long time for the Ottawa Senators. And, some deals some of these rental deals kind of get based on, the Carlson deal was more quantity than quality. And then Stone might be the reverse of that. It was more quality than quantity. Mm-hmm. And we've seen, I think Gord Miller just tweeted out some of the recent rentals that went what they went for. So you kind of use that as a framework. But all I know is that I don't believe Ray Shero is limiting himself to any framework of it's got to be this or it's got to be that. I'm sure he's going to want a first-round pick included no matter what it is. But, if you did get like a really good, undisputed A-plus prospect, could you do it just Taylor Hall for that guy? Yeah, I think you could. Mm-hmm. And based on what you look at the collection of all first-round picks are not created the same. I mean, if it's a team like the Colorado Avalanche giving you a first-round pick, it's going to be probably much later in the first round than if you're getting one from somebody who's much lower on the food chain as far as being higher in the draft. And so if, you mentioned what teams might be involved. We've talked about Colorado. Last night on Insider Trading, Darren Dreger said Arizona will be front and center to try and get it done. Then you get a whole bunch of teams. Like I think St. Louis might have general interest, but might not be willing to pay the high rental price. Colorado seems like the team that is best suited. They've got the cap room. They're a contender now. They would be that much more of a contender if they were to get Hall and not give up anything off their roster in order to do it. And they're loaded. I mean, they've got Bowen Byram and they've got Connor Timmins and they've got, this guy and that guy all up and down the lineup. And they already have Cale Makar, a rookie defenseman who's just been exceptional, and you've got Sam Girard on that team. So they're loaded with young talent that they could afford to give up, the guys that aren't on their roster, if they so choose. So they would seem to me to be the best possible fit. But Arizona's, they wake up in first place in the Pacific today. They've nibbled away at the Edmonton Oilers lead in the division. They need more offense in their lineup, and they too have some cupboard fairly well stocked with some prospects. So, those would be two teams. And then people wonder, well, what about Montreal? And I don't know if they're prepared to pay a high rental price. What about Edmonton? I don't think they're prepared to give up a first round pick. What about Calgary? Yeah, they might be interested, but and they might be positioned to do it. But again, might be just a pure rental unless they offload some serious contract down the road. And that's the other thing with Hall is it somebody you think you've got a shot at re-signing, or is it just a pure rental and that affects the price and what everybody's prepared to pay?
So since you brought up the Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon's comments a couple of days ago, and paraphrasing, but went out and said, yeah, I would take less money again to play on this team so I can win with this group. Is this just a story because he said it when the Avs were in Toronto, or is the rest of the league kind of taking notice to a top 5 player willing to take a discount?
Probably a little bit of both. But what I would say is this. At the time that Nathan McKinnon got the contract, there were, I don't recall, and I could be wrong on this, and I'd have to go back and look at what his platform year was right before he signed the contract.
It was 52 points, Bob. 52.
52. So I don't recall everybody saying at the time, "Oh man, did
What a discount.
ever
Steal.
did they ever rip off Nathan McKinnon here?" We thought Nathan McKinnon was going to be really something special, and then he wasn't immediately, and so we were like, "Oh, maybe he's not going to be as special as we thought he was." And then he decided to take the security of the longer-term deal. I can pretty much assure you that at the time his representatives were probably telling, "Go shorter. Don't. Let's not lock ourselves in here. You're a really good player. Bet on yourself." And he's, whatever. What's he make? 6'3", 6'7"? 6'3". So yeah, so he's making 6'3", and he's like, you know what? And how many years did he sign for originally? 7.
7.
So 7, and so he's looking, and he's like, man, that's $45 million. I'm going to take that, and he could have easily gone shorter. So anyways, so now he's emerged, quite rightly, as one of the very elite players in the league. I don't know what number you put him at, but, I mean, if you want to put McDavid at 1, and there's going to be folks in Edmonton that are going to say Draisaitl, and that's fair, I guess. But I think a lot of people would have McKinnon at number 2. Mm-hmm. Speed, power, skill, the whole 9 yards. He's got it all. And doesn't seem to matter who's injured on the Avalanche. He just sort of carries them. So this whole idea of I'd take less. The thing to remember is twofold. Number one, he's got 3 years left on his deal after this year.
We'll forget all about this by then.
So that's number one. Number two, you could say, well, he's eligible for an extension in 2.5 years. So what's the salary cap going to be in 2.5 or 3.5 years? Is it going to be 90? Is it going to be 95? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But what if it was 95 million in 3.5 years? So the discount that he's talking about may well be, you know what? I was going to go for 14 million, but I'll go to 13, maybe 13.5. Mm-hmm. So he's still. What I would say is this. My guess is he could easily take a significant discount when his contract expires or when he signs his new contract and still be well over double what he's making right now, mm-hmm. and making more than...
Still be the highest paid player in the league.
Making more than McDavid or Matthews or just about anybody else. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we need to worry. I think that some people, well, he's making 6'3", and he said he'd take less to stay. Maybe he's going to sign for 7. No, he's going to sign. He's going to be a double-digit guy, and probably, depending on what happens between now and then, there's a real good chance that he will be the highest-paid player in the league when he does his new deal, even with the discount.
Yep, well said, Bob. He can say he's going to take a discount. I don't want to hear about saying discount again, because the first one was not a discount for Nathan McKinnon, and I think your memory is well served as to the commentary a couple years ago when he signed that big extension.